Be the Best You podcast. The sole purpose of this podcast is to teach, inspire, and motivate everyone to be the best versions of themselves. Welcome to another episode of the Be the Best You podcast. I'm your host, Larry Dawson. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. And if you've taken the time to check this out on an audio or video streaming platform, please take the time to like, share, subscribe, and comment. Without you guys' support, none of this would be possible. Much appreciated. Much love and respect to everyone that has been supporting the show so far. It's been a great experience getting to have these awesome guests on and interview different people from different walks of life and discuss all types of cool topics. I hope you guys have enjoyed them so far, and look out because we got some really good guests coming your way on some upcoming episodes. So today I'm going to talk to you about two things. One, I'm going to talk to you about what it was like to overcome spending 13 years in prison, and then I'm also going to talk to you about an upcoming show that I put together, and it's called Prison Talk with LD. But first, before we dive into that, let me talk about overcoming. So when I say, overcoming 13 years in prison, and people are listening and they're like, well, I don't know if I can relate to that because I didn't spend 13 years in prison. I didn't spend any time in prison. Well, we all have our different forms of prison. Some people just came out of a 10-year bad marriage that was like a prison, and you feel like the weight of the world is lifted off of you. Some people have been stuck in a job they hate for the last 8, 10, 12 years, and now they finally got a different job or a promotion or ventured out on their own and now opened their own business and doing their own thing. It could be that you was in the military and you got sent overseas and you was in a combat zone and that's not what you expected, and you just couldn't wait for the day to come for your service to be over with so you could come home to your family. There's a lot of different reasons that we have struggles and that we have to overcome. Mine was kind of a self-inflicted wound because it was because of my mistakes that put me in prison. So I didn't let prison destroy me. I actually used prison in a time to build myself into the man I am today. Without those 13 years, I don't know if I would even be here or alive. I definitely wouldn't be the man I am today, because you ever heard the saying, take an L? Well, I don't look at taking an L as taking a loss. I look at taking an L as a lesson learned, because there's no greater teacher in life than life itself. So life will teach you everything you need to know. Unfortunately, a lot of us, we don't take those lessons and apply them, and we repeat those same mistakes. So one of the ways that I was able to overcome is just how I said, by taking it as a lesson, understanding it, not being bitter about it, because we always want to tend to point the finger at other people, but to point the finger at myself. So using that lesson, like, how can I be better? How can I make sure this never happens again? What mistakes did I make in life? Where did I go wrong? And how can I fix these things? And I had a lot of areas to fix, but I had a lot of time to do. So I took that time and I didn't get involved in gangs and gambling and a lot of other stuff back there that we're not even going to get into right now. But if you tune in to Prison Talk with LD, we will touch on all of those subjects. I chose to do my time different. I focused on schooling. I focused on my character. I focused on digging in on a psychological level to what made me tick, what made me react to things, why I was the way I was. So I could, once you understand why, then you can fix the problem. So I spent a lot of time doing that. And then once I finished that, like I said, doing schooling, but I also had this thing about becoming great. I just didn't want to be an average person or a regular person. I really wanted to be great. I always felt like I was different, and I always felt like there was something inside of me. I just used it in the wrong way for a long time. And as I started studying people, I started studying like Marcus Aurelius, Julius Caesar, Babe Ruth, Martin Luther King, Nelson Mandela, Steve Jobs, Tom Brady, a lot of business people. One thing I started to notice was there was this common thread that connected them all, and it was this undeniable belief in themselves. And no matter what was thrown their way, they never lost belief in themselves. They stayed the course. And unfortunately, a lot of people, when they have a failure or a setback, they quit or give up or get frustrated or have the victim mentality or, oh, it'll never work out or it's always against me. To really be successful, though, that's going to happen. That's going to happen to everybody. And those people that become really successful, they have a one-track mind. It doesn't matter. It's almost like every failure that comes at them, it's almost like swatting away a fly or a gnat. Just nope, 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 and just keep on going until they succeed. So think about that in your life. How many times you've been in situations where like a roadblock has came in your way, or there's been something to deter you from where you're going, or the job just became that much harder. How many of us get frustrated and quit and walk away, or, well, I gave it a shot. Here's the thing with that, man. The only time you ever really lose is when you quit. So with that knowledge, understanding this is what separates the greats from the regular people. They just refuse to lose and they refuse to cave in. So I spent a lot of time studying great people and starting to understand that. And I was really blessed that was one of the attributes that I was blessed with in life, that I have a lot of that in me, that no matter what, no matter how many times I fall or fail, I continue to push forward. No matter how many times I'm told no or that I can't do something, I never let that get in the way or stop me. I actually use that as fuel and motivation to push me. I knew that, being sentenced to 15 years in prison for the charges that I was charged with, and having to serve 85%, which was 13 years, which is what I did max out, I knew that I couldn't just come home and be okay or average. I knew I had to come home and be great, because if I didn't become great, then no one would pay attention. They'd be like, yeah, okay, the guy that did 13 years in prison, yeah, well, he's washing cars for a living. Okay, buddy, well, stay out of trouble. But that's not what I wanted my life to be. I wanted my life to be motivation and inspiration for so many people out there. I wanted to show people that no matter how far you went in the wrong direction, no matter how many obstacles came your way, no matter whether you did time or you put yourself in a bad marriage or a dead-end job, or no matter what the situation you're coming out of, you could survive and thrive. I wanted to show the world that you can still become great, and it's never too late to turn your life around and to do great things. And so for every time someone says, oh, you can't do this, or he'll never be able to accomplish that, when people hear that out there, when people are saying that to you guys, or if you're ever going to say that to someone, stop and think about me and say, well, wait a second, I know someone that turned it around. I know someone. Because as long as one can do it, everyone can do it. Your mind, man, you have to have control of your mind. You have to be strong. It's one of the reasons why I came out of prison stronger than when I went in, is because I didn't let the time do me and control me. I controlled the time and did it my way, by focusing on the schooling, by focusing on, figuring out what was wrong with me on a psychological level and how I could fix that and how I could change that. Focusing on becoming the best version of myself, studying great people, trying to become a leader, taking leadership courses, and dedicating my life to not only changing mine, but having the mindset that I'm going to use this and help as many other people change their lives as possible. And that's what I've been doing for the last decade, and that's what I'm going to continue to do. And this podcast is just another example of that, the Be the Best You, the Be the Best You podcast. So when we have guests on here and we're talking about these subjects, whether it's dealing with motivation or fitness or finance or relationships or modern day topics, we're trying to motivate you and inspire you and push you and help you become a better version of yourself. So by overcoming the 13 years in prison, man, I just focused on doing it my way, sharpening myself almost like sharpening a knife, just trying to every day just sharpen, sharpen, sharpen. So when I came home, I would be as sharp as possible. I created a 10-hour-a-day rule when I was back there, where I would study for 7 hours a day working on my mental being, and I would physically do fitness for 3 hours a day working on my physical being. And that was working on my martial arts, doing my working out, and then doing my jogging. So I was catching every part of the mental and physical. And then I would take my time out and work on my meditation. You know, I studied about 6 different religions, trying to understand, you know, the ins and outs of several different religious beliefs. Because one thing about me is I don't like talking on subjects unless I know something about it. So I felt like by studying those, it would make me smarter, it would enlighten me, and when topics came up dealing with those particular religions, I could speak from an informed place, an educated place, and not an ignorant place. So just using the time to develop myself and become the best version of myself, so the person I am today can thrive. If you're coming out of a really bad marriage, man, that you shouldn't have been in, or you realize after the fact this isn't good, and you finally made it out of there, congratulations to you. And you know, it's not the end of the world, even when you have to start over. A good friend of mine that's a couple years older than me just got divorced about 1.5 years ago, and to see how he was then to now is night and day difference. And he survived that experience of, I think it's 11 years he was in that marriage, and a lot of bad things happened to him in that marriage. But to see him come out the other end, almost like coming out of the tunnel and seeing the light, those of you that are out there, you can also do that, just like he's doing right now. Those of you out there that have been in a job that sucks, that's drained the life out of you, that you've poured yourself into but hasn't given you back what you deserve, and you've either just gotten out of that or in the process or thinking about it, man, make that move. Be thankful for that move and be proud of that move. We are creatures of habit, and we tend to be slow to move to do things, sometimes even though we should. So be mindful of that, and if you're watching this video or listening to this video and it's a move you're thinking about making to better your life, make the move to better your life. You'll be thankful. And when you get out of that job, or when you get out of that relationship that you were in, that you survived, that you made it through, be thankful for the opportunity and the second chance that you've been given, and make the most of it. Quiet all your doubters and haters. Rise above. Be great. Find new love. Find a new job. And if you are watching this video and you were in prison and you did do time, and you're saying, I don't understand, like, man, you know, how can you have this mindset? You know, it's hard to find a job, or, you know, it's easier said than done, or yeah, it worked for you, but it's not working for me. I would say flip your mindset. Get out of that victim mentality. Stop looking at things as a glass half empty and start looking at it as a glass half full. Because we were in a day and time when it is hard to find people to work. People don't want to work these days. So I don't want to hear that you can't find a job, because there are jobs out there and you can do anything. Don't let a criminal record or a bad decision you made in the past handicap you. That is a stigma people will try to put on you, but that's them putting their beliefs on you. You are who you see yourself as. And if you see yourself as great, as hardworking, as a good person, as a loyal person, as a survivor, as strong, then that's what you will be. So that is how I have been successful, because I'm willing to outwork people, outthink people, outmaneuver people, outhustle people. But at the end of the day, I keep my positive mindset. And I also focus on, being a good father, being a good husband, being a good businessman, all the things that you need in life to succeed and thrive. So overcoming prison for me, I guess, was different than some people, because I didn't get embedded into the prison lifestyle. I just kind of did time my own way and stayed in my own lane and focused on sharpening my mind and my body and my spirit energy. So regardless of how you did that time, though, if you're listening to this video and you did time, man, you can make it out here. Keep your head right, stay focused, work hard, have goals and aspirations, and push to make them come true. So that's kind of my experience of overcoming prison and just having this will to succeed, almost like the people I was studying, just refuse to be anything but great. I don't think that there was ever a single moment of doubt in my mind. Obviously there was probably doubt in other people's minds, but that's life, and people will try to put their doubts and fears and limitations on you. You cannot let people do that to you. You have to believe in yourself and know yourself, know what you're capable of and what your goals and dreams are, and push towards those no matter what, and have that unbreakable mindset. Because everything we do in this world starts in our mind. When I got sentenced to my time and I realized going to the yard and the sentence starting out, I made a very quick decision that I wasn't going to allow myself to focus on the time. And that was one key thing that probably helped me, because I wasn't like in this perpetual state of beating myself down like, oh man, I have 12 more years left. Oh man, I have 11 more years left. I never allowed my mind to go to those places. I just focus on yourself, focus on your studying, focus on your mind, focus on your body, focus on your spirit, focus on getting things together. You're going to go out here and you're going to kill it. And when I came home, I brought that same mindset. I turned in 74 applications for work when I came home. I didn't get a single call back, but I didn't let that break me. I just continued to push forward. And, within a few months, I found 3 jobs and was working 3 jobs. Living off of one and saving the other 2 paychecks to use those to invest in myself in what are now one of my companies, and subsets of that company. And then later on I would use some of that money to open up another company and to do other things, and doors kept opening for me, but I stayed with that consistent mindset. So anyone out there can do it, no matter where you're at. If anyone out there is thinking about taking a leap of faith and leaving a bad relationship, leaving a bad job, whatever the situation you're in, what about this? What about overcoming addiction? And when you say addiction, I think the first thing that comes to people's mind is like drugs, probably like crack or heroin or weed or whatever else comes to people's mind. But the 2 biggest addictions in this world is the opioid addiction, with the pharmaceutical companies flooding the streets with all these drugs, and alcohol, which is sold everywhere. So those are the 2 biggest addictions. If you're someone out there that has been taking pills and got addicted, if you're someone out there that's been drinking for years and hasn't been sober in a long time, I challenge you to get the help that you need to get off of the pills, to get away from the drinking and survive and become great, because you can do the same thing too. Once you remove yourself from that fog and get that fog off of you, and you're able to let your light shine again and be great, the limitations are limitless. There is no limitations. I want to say thank you to everyone that has supported me. through my podcast, through my radio show, through my speaking engagements, through all my endeavors, through my businesses. Without your guys' support, man, I wouldn't be here and I wouldn't be able to do the things that I'm doing today. And I'm proud to announce a new show that I'm going to be debuting, and it's going to be coming out in March, and it's going to be called Prison Talk with LD. And on these videos, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to you about prison. Not a shallow dive like I did today, but a very deep dive. And I will be discussing different subject matters. I'm going to let you guys ask me questions so I can answer those questions, and I'm going to let you guys give me topics that you would like for me to talk about. I'm going to have people on that were also locked up. I'm going to have officers on that were correctional officers. I'm going to have staff members on. I'm going to have people that were nurses there. And I'm going to let them ask me questions. We're going to dig deep into this whole prison system and scenario and the way it works and what goes on back there. So it's going to be a whole nother side of me that most people haven't seen in conversations talking about stuff that you guys haven't heard me talk about. Obviously, if you guys have been following me, you know that I served 13 years in prison, but I'm going to go a lot deeper than that. I'm going to tell you about the ins and outs, the foods, the different prisons, the gangs, what goes on back there, what to watch out for, about fights. Maybe give you some good stories, talk to some of the other guys that was doing time with me, what their mindset was, what their experience was like. So you'll be able to catch all those. These will not be a podcast. They will be videos, so they will be shown on my YouTube channel. So if you guys are listening through audio, my YouTube channel is Larry Dawson BTBU. You can go on there, and starting next month, you'll start to see the series, and we'll release 2 a week. I'm really looking forward to it. It's something that's been kind of in the works for the last couple of years, and now we're finally bringing it out for people to see. So if you're watching or listening to this episode and you have some questions about prison or a topic about prison that you would like to hear me answer or discuss, send that question or that topic over, and I will be glad to answer that question or talk about that topic with you guys. One last thing, man. So this video was talking about overcoming prison, but it doesn't matter what you're trying to overcome, man. You can overcome anything, no matter how many odds are stacked against you, no matter what the situation is. Man, roses grow out of cracks in concrete. You never know where greatness can come from. So just keep that in mind, no matter where you're at, no matter what the situation, no matter how far you went down that wrong road, you can turn that around. And not only can you turn that around and be better, you can be great. You can overcome anything. You can become the best version of yourself. All right, man. This has been another episode of the Be The Best You podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in. Much love and respect. I appreciate every one of you guys. Make sure you leave a comment. Make sure you share. Make sure you tag one of your friends. Give me a thumbs up. Until next time, try until you fly.